Happy New Year, YouTube. It's Hero Sticks, and I am back. I'm coming to you from the living room here in the lodge, seated in one of our yellow chairs, seated and booted. Broke my leg, fibula. Been doing some really heavy MMA training lately, which is not true. I was actually walking the dog and rolled my ankle, and it was like 4 pieces of popcorn. Bap, 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 bap. Spiral fracture. It's been really rough. So one of the things that's been keeping me engaged in the haze of pain management, return to work, and pain medication has been closing out the year thinking about knives. And so tonight I'm going to do my favorite budget knives. So these are knives that are under $100. I think the most expensive one I have here is maybe 80. So forgive me if that camera moves because my leg's on it. And then there's one that is higher priced than that, but still fits into this budget category. Ton of great content out there already about this for the year. But I had a few folks ask, and so I wanted to weigh in on it. Also wanted to share my favorite Christmas gift, or one of them. This mermaid was given to me by my wife to pop caps on the boat, and she also got me this fantastic little Merc light. I don't know if you guys have messed much with these from the Mech Army, but man, they are small, they are bright, and this one perfectly matches my new Redstone from the James brand. And then I got a little Savi multi-tool there that I got in an old Elementum. So my wife crushed it with the gifts this year. Can't tell if that's blurry or not. Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna do these in order of size. And there's only 4, so we're not gonna take a whole lot of time here. I'm gonna do these in order of size, and then at the end, I'm gonna challenge myself to pick a winner. First one, unfortunately, cannot be had via retail right now, but there are some on the secondary. It's a Knife So Knives that I bought it twice, but I'm sending one out to a friend, and that's one that's already gotten some press, but it is the Petrified Fish Beluga. This thing surprised me. I had no idea about the brand, no idea about the blade, and it is a 3.5 inch, don't know how much it weighs, big bellied denim blue micarta, outstanding budget knife. The action on this thing is outstanding. It's a front flipper and it's easy to manipulate. You've got a really hefty thumb stud there that it's just easy to, bam, just hop right over. Spider flick is no problem. The second variant that I got was the brown micarta and the black PVD coating, which is also cool. The logo is just, strangely, they're called Petrified Fish, and yet, why won't that come in? Their logo is a rhino. The micarta is a little rough, but it's good quality. So this is up there. I mean, I've been flicking this thing, and despite the fact that it's 3.5 inches, you get this deep swedge that makes, oh, also, okay, so you can thumb roll, no problem. Thumb flick, no problem. It carries light in the pocket, deep carry clip. The screws are recessed, which I really hope to see more of. That makes a big difference to me. Petrified Fish Beluga, I'm sure they're gonna make another run of those. Get your hands on one. It's a terrific knife, terrific EDC. Again, it's on the heftier size, hence the name, Beluga Whale. But it's nimble, it's light, it's fun to play with, and I think this one's coming in about 65 bucks on the secondary, probably closer to 80 or 90. Second up, Kubi, which is a brand that I ignored. For some reason early on, Kubi just occurred to me as like a budget brand, like mixed up with Schrade or, you know, some of those other ones. I learned that wasn't the case, but I still didn't have an interest. And then I saw a review on this one. and decided to give it a shot, and it did not disappoint. So this is the Kubi 322. This is also just about a 3.5-inch blade. Oh, and I forgot to mention, the Beluga is K110, which is a steel that I don't know anything about, but it's a great user, so that's all I know, so no problems with the K110. The Kubi 322, however, is D2, so pretty good material. Everyone's got their own take on D2, but the shape is very nice. The ergonomics on this knife are incredible. You know, I appreciate very much Jake over at Bearded Gear. He talks about jimping quite a lot and how it can be something that designers do because they just think they're supposed to do it. And I get that now. This one, however, on the swoop of the blade there, I mean, you can really, really choke up on that. The ergos are fantastic. Again, the action here, outstanding. I have had the privilege of handling some higher end knives this year, and buying a few higher end knives this year. And this thing, honestly, it's up there. I mean, it's top 10. The action is very, very smooth. Now, again, it's a heavier blade to be sure, but I mean, it's bordering on guillotine. It reminds me a tiny bit, like if you weren't able to get your hands on a J-cape, I'd say that this would be a comparable budget version. The shapes are great. Again, deep carry pocket clip. There's the jimping I mentioned. Very cutty, very usy. And again, the action is really fun. So you're looking at a flipper, and then you can also Spidey flick this one. The detent's pretty strong. Yeah, see, that does happen, but it will absolutely Spidey flick if you're on top of your game. And then obviously, or not so obviously, the thumb flick and the thumb roll as well. Kubi 322, outstanding, highly recommend. This one's around 55 bucks. Okay, next. My best and biggest video ever suggested that I would never buy another Savi, and of course it was a spoof. But I will say that in 2021, I only bought one, and in 2022, I will only buy two. So I do have a couple of Savivis already. I have the original Elementum, which I love. It's my car knife. And I have the Odium, which is a tiny, very cool Savi as well. And that goes in my kind of my tech roll with all of my USBs and stuff like that. And then I had a Dogma that I loved and I gave to my brother. So I wanted a button lock. I wanted to experience a button lock. I did have the Slim Pickens, which was great, but I traded that for something special that's coming up. It's a big project. And so I bought the Savi Elementum button lock in 3.5 inches. Again, all black. And it didn't occur to me that it wasn't going to have another kind of deployment mechanism. It just didn't occur to me. And so getting the action down on it took a little time. But as I got it, I've really come to enjoy this. I mean, the fidget factor on this thing is terrific. The ergonomics you already know about. This has been reviewed a million times, but in the black PVD and black G10, I don't think you can lose. This is coming in at like 50, 60 bucks, tons of variants, very comfortable in hand. I love it. So that's the 3 of the 4/5. So, and here's number 4. And this is one I had, who did I see get their hands on this first? Probably Stasa 23. And I jumped out and I grabbed one quick. Learned that the maker had done some custom work, that this was his first production edition, and so I snatched it up. And this is the Quis Bladeworks production edition, the PE as they're calling it. So what I noticed this year about my collecting, and again, this is my first year, but whatever, is that towards the end of, well, let me just crack this open. Let me talk about the knife first. So, super cool sheep's foot, black G10. The steel on this one, 14C 28N, 14C 28N, which, as I have studied a bit about metal, is kind of like the step up, kind of the D2 is okay, right? And so he took that step, and it's got this sway back styling. I was looking at the Swags sway back, maybe it's, what is that knife called? Anyway, I like the shape. It just, this one I love. The comfort in hand on this with a saber grip and a hammer grip is incredible. Forgive my weird lean, it's just the broken leg. The ergonomics on this are exceptional. The action on this is exceptional. So smooth, pops right out on a spidey flick, smacking out on a thumb flick, and then the roll is very easy too. I love this knife. The way that the butt or the pommel fills out in the middle of your palm is really smart design, and I don't know if I've ever really experienced that kind of intentionality on the butt end of a knife like that, but this thing feels absolutely at home in my pocket. So this is the Quis Bladeworks PE Production Edition. Highly recommend if you can still get it. I think this one was around 80, and my favorite knife reviewer, Bob the Knife Junkie DeMarco, I think is having the designer on somewhere. Maybe it's not Bob. Who's having him on? Anyway, it's happening somewhere, and I'll post it below. But that's that one. Last, very controversial knife. Lots been said about it. Kind of exhausting, actually. But I had to get one, and people asked. And this is 150 bucks, and you can get it right now, I think, in a few places. I'll post below. But it's the 80-20.5 by Michael Demko. Now, the big beef with this knife, well, the polarizing nature of this knife is thus. It features perhaps the most innovative lock design, the shark lock, that's come to pass in quite some time. He's a highly respected maker, and he's got a budget knife available, and that's all awesome. What folks have cringed about is that the steel is AUS 8, which is not a high-end steel, and the FRN material is a little light. And so, anyway, I wanted to have one. I wanted the shark lock. I have heard from a lot of folks that going to the secondary market for aftermarket scales has really transformed the knife. And when I got it in hand, and this is the most expensive one on the list, it's like 149 bucks. When I first held it, it felt a little cheap. I'm not gonna lie, it did. And then I started playing with it, and I didn't care. The shark lock is just the best. It's really fun. It's got a very provocative, very satisfying mechanism. You can feel it all happening. The knife is a great cutter. It's very comfortable in hand. It just feels a little cheap. And I think it's the scales, the AUS 8. I mean, I wouldn't cringe too much, but the FRN I'm not crazy about. So I'm gonna get some aftermarket scales, but the Shark Lock Demko, I totally get it. So there you have it, guys. I'm gonna run through it one more time real quick. Petrified Fish Beluga. Favorite budget knives of 2021, the Kubi 322. Should probably close these as I take them down. The Savi Elementum Buttonlock 3.5 inch. And the Quis Bladeworks PE production variant. And this is my favorite of the year. It's like the new kid at school that's faster and quicker and shinier than everybody else. And you're kind of annoyed with him a little bit, but you also really want to spend time with him because you know he's the best. There you have it. Happy New Year. I got a lot of cool stuff coming up on the channel. I have completed the Finch run and the finch unnesting or egg cracking is going to happen soon. Peace.